So can the screen, can you guys see that? Can you see that piece? I'm just getting live on this Google Hangouts. And I'm having a hard time with it. Just give me a minute. I just started playing with it today. So what I'm gonna try to do today is I'm gonna try to show, this is just an introduction because I see that a lot of people are coming into the African Americans and Africans and they want to know what it is. And it's simply just we're just showing the people that they are indigenous to the land. What we're starting to see in this economy and this what we're seeing in this part of the world is that the indigenous people are being disconnected from their land, so to say, and it's causing all kind of problems on the indigenous community. So what I wanted to do is I just want to show some images and get everybody caught up on to speed on what we're saying. This is not hard, and I think if the people knew that this was their home, their how they think about themselves would change. I'm not saying everybody is doing that, but for the most part, that's what'll happen. You know, So what I want to do, I want to share some things with you, some ideas and some images of your people back in the past. And you let me know if these people are slaves or not, or if these people ran their own economy. I'm gonna go through a few pictures with you, a few images, just so we can be on the same page going forth. Because when we hear African Americans ain't African, the people automatically think we hate something. No, that's not what we're saying. Well, what you don't like? No. And you can tell by the way they say it that they have their own problems set up. So what we're going to do, we're going to show some images to just get everybody on the same page. Can we do that? I mean, and you can call in and get into the conversation. The telephone number is 205-336-2234. Please, I mean, don't call with nothing ignorant because it's too much of that going on. You can find a lot of platforms that that cater to that type of thing. We're trying not to do that here. So, please give us a call if you want to get in on the conversation. We'd love to have you. Um, one thing is vital, uh, to the people that call themselves Black, African American, Negro, color, nigga, all these terms that we call ourselves and refer ourselves to. We can spend a few more minutes thinking of names, stuff that we've been labeled. But what's important to understand, and in that labeling, we have to understand that we didn't come up with these names. These were names hoisted upon us by these foreigners that came over here and desecrated our land. Now, we can't make that claim if we are desecrating the land also. And one way to desecrate the land is to make sure that you are not part of it. So she birthed you, but you're not claiming her as your mother. That's what the African American is doing. Now, the African American he's thin skinned. The truth is hated, and that would blow your mind when you get to the point is when you looked at when the foreigners were coming over here, how they described what they were seeing with the indigenous people. I mean, you can go read anything. It's you're in the information age. It's there. You just gotta want to read it. And what these people were saying, what they found, what the people looked like, what they were doing, what they were eating, it blew the people's mind. those people that they were talking about, their ancestors, us, we don't care about that at all. Matter of fact, we turn away from it. We say it ain't ours. And if one of us say that those are my people, we'll cuss him out, won't we? How many of us were brought up in church? And I say that because this is the most basic. We all come from that. If we're born in North America, we all were introduced to church by our parents. This is the reality of it. Why were we taught a foreign doctrine? And why, when we found out that it was a foreign doctrine, we didn't do anything to change it? Most African Americans are trained in foreign doctrine. And once you're educated into that, it extricates you from the place that birthed you. And see, you no longer think what the spiritual ideology of what your parents did or what your foreparents did. You know nothing about that because you've been beating yourself in the head with a character called Jesus all your life. You don't even care. The majority of African Americans, because remember, an African American is a made up person. African Americans weren't on the planet in 1900. Anybody who wants to challenge that, we can do it. Prove to me that African Americans were on the planet in the 1900s. No, in the 1900s, like 1901 to 10. Show me where the African American is. And you can't do that. Show me where the black people were. They weren't even there then. They weren't created yet. And we're going to show you, give you an example how that creation went down, how it affects us, and how we were trained in that way to be and think that way. Since these are the doctrines that we understand, the Bible and whatnot, school, if I told you, if I suggested that you did some of the things that we do out here in the forest, you would think I'm crazy. Because we have our own waterways. Right. Yes. So, since these are the doctrines that we understand, I will speak in these languages so that it may be clear to you, so we can be on the same page. And most of us were brought up as Christians. Most of us were. Or we know the doctrine. We know it very well. On page one of the Bible, which most African Americans say is the word of God, it says that God made everything. Amen. Can I get a witness? As a matter of fact, God takes time from creating the heaven and earth to create you. In Genesis 1, now this is in the beginning, verse 26, God says, let us make man in our image. Now, this part of the Bible sticks out in my mind because this is where me and my mama used to get into it, because my mother taught me real young. My mother was dabbling in that uh, Black Panther Party. She was doing it from afar. She was watching and seeing what it was doing, and she got firsthand that they was playing. But she taught me to read at a very young age, so I was able to read and just figure out stuff. And when it was came time to go to church, and I had to read the Bible, I was reading and it didn't make any sense to me as a kid. Probably made sense to her, but I had questions, and the questions that I asked, she couldn't answer. She still can't to this day. And I thought, since everybody came from a woman, it's not mankind, it's womankind. Because no, because my mother, at this time, my mother's taking care of me. There's no man around. Like, I have uncles around. They were cool, but there were really no men around. My mother had boyfriends and stuff, but it wasn't that wasn't it. They weren't what I needed. Nothing like that. The women are what gives birth to all men. And we live in a culture where the woman is, I mean, let's face it. And we haven't even heard the stories from the sisters yet. Because with all this, with all these girls talking about, oh, they've been messed by Harvey Weinstein and all, you haven't really heard any sisters come to the forefront. And the sisters had to bend over backwards, to get some of those roles. Um, it says that God created the heaven and the earth, and he turned around and said, let us make females. Anybody who's reading it had to understand that he was talking to a woman, because a woman is the only one who create males and females. Am I right or wrong? Right. So these were just some of the things. So how I always thought the Bible, it just didn't speak to me. And then in chapter 2 of the Bible, it tells how this Lord God made Adam. I always thought that was strange, because Adam never had to crawl. He was he was a straight up man. Adam never sucked on the breast. And I remember asking my mother this, the pictures you see, um, Madonna and child, Isis and child. I used to ask my mother, how come, well, Jesus was never a child. I mean, not Jesus. Adam was never a child. Neither was Eve. They were never children. So, I mean, to me, it sounded like that clone stuff, even back then. It still sounds like it today. Many of our people think this is the way mankind started. This is 2018. We're trying to we're trying to um, come up with new ways of transportation. We're trying to come up with new ways to grow food. We're trying to find new ways to get some semblance and get our land back. Uh, a woman that is born or birthed from a man, that doesn't work. That's a monster. Woman doesn't come from man. Man comes from woman. And we look at it, and somehow we look at it as something wrong. A lot of the males look at it as something wrong, and that's the problem. And that's why the women are treated like they're treated. And that's why it's going to be very important for the females to not be stupid anymore. So, what I want to show, I just want to go through a few images, because this is just the introduction to what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be doing in African Americans and Africans, and this is for the new people coming in, because we realize that, some of the information that we're given, the information that we get isn't for our consumption. It isn't for our consumption. So I want to show some pictures. I want to show some images that shows the African American, what his ancestors looked like, what his ancestors did, what his ancestors created, what other people said about his ancestors when he got here. And now these people that you call African American, who used to be called Black, who used to be called colored, who used to be called Negro, who used to be called nigger, who used to be called all kind of derogatory names, all except the names that they called themselves. I want to share something with you that talks about that and shows that you didn't come over here in no ship. You were at home. You were on your land. This is a money currency. When the European came over, when they started with currency, one of the things that they tried to do is get the indigenous people to go in on the currency. And they had to show the indigenous people on the currency because that was one of the ways that they could get the people on there. You're not going to be a foreigner and just come over here and put your picture or your image on the money, and you're trading with the indigenous people. They were trading with the indigenous people, and that's how the money was used. So you're on the money. So one of the questions that I always have, would it does it is it feasible to everybody that they would bring slaves over from another land, humiliated, a beaten and defeated people, and put them on the currency? Any simple question, simple answer. Would they do that? If you don't think that they would do it, you ask yourself, would you do it? That's how you always check up something. You ask yourself that, and that's how you grow with that. Would you bring some money, some people from another country, and put them on your money? And you would answer no. So these are the images that that prove to you that what we're saying, we're not playing around. I know your feelings will get hurt because you've been lied to, but the best thing to do is take that lie, realize it was a lie, and throw it far away and pick up and go start trying to find your heritage. And the way to do that is go through the mothers, go through your father's mothers and your mother's mothers. You go through the mothers because the mothers are the ones who have the babies. Okay, so let's go to another image. This is and now just go, just go. This is so one of the stories that they tell you is that the African American came over here on the ship. Okay, and go find this brother, and you can, and I'm sure he'll have more information on it, because that's what you do. If you use information, you got to the person that you got it from, you got to give them props so they can teach the people, you who's listening to me, they can teach you more about it. Check this out. The Preservation of Woods Act, which basically stated that no tree should be that I'm sorry, which basically stated that no tree should fall 440 yards from landed property because Europe's forest has been decimated since the 13th century, and the remaining trees were being overexploited by British factories for fuel in its new iron industry. Extreme measures were now being taken to preserve their almost extinct forest of trees. Also, as a result of tree exploitation, firewood prices had doubled, leaving wood unaffordable to the poor. So many had no option but to freeze to death. Now, please tell me, how did all these slave ships get built if laws were passed to preserve Europe's dwindling tree resources? That's a that's a legitimate question. So if one of our youth came up and asked that question, we should have an answer for them. You have an answer for them. And if you don't have an answer for them, which the African American doesn't, um, the kid starts to think that something's wrong. There was no slave trade. There's millions of questions you can ask yourself about the slave trade, and it would make no sense to you. It didn't happen. It's a story. They give you stories to guide your life because that's what you believe in. You don't know. Knowledge is not what you're really into. You're into beliefs. You're into mystical, magical, poof, wee, stuff like that. That's how the African American is trained. Every little thing, just he has to have it. Every little purse, every little new pair of tennis shoes. We rush out and make people billions of dollars, and we don't care. Our attitude is flippant, and we're going to do a program on that coming up real soon. But our attitude is flippant. Is flippant. It's like we don't care. I can do whatever I want to do. Take that for a minute. Check that out for a minute. Our attitude. Oh, so we're being kicked around by everybody on the planet, but our own, how we look at it is like, I don't care, so what? Check out the attitude. Check out the attitude of the people who, of the brothers who join with all these other foreign entities and dog our people out. Foreign entities, that Islam, that Moor, that Hebrew Israelite. Are you serious? That's what we're into. We're into that. And we're arrogant about it. And it does nothing but destroy, it kills our people off. Kills off kills off the land, and it kills off the people. So this Preservation of Woods Act, just pull that up. You can get information on it. If not, contact me. You can contact me through Facebook. African Americans Ain't Africans on Facebook, and I'll send me a instant message, and I'll send you the information on this. This is the Preservation of Woods Act. They wouldn't allow they didn't have any resources. They were naked in their resources. That's why they came over and took yours. There wasn't no slave ships. That's why when you ask these people to show you a slave ship, they can't. That's why we ask the question, well, where's the slave ship? If you're saying that they bought all these millions of Africans over here, not one ship, and the Negro will skip over it, act like you didn't even ask the question, won't confront it. He will hide that fact just in order to dog out his mama. That's where the Negro is today. No slave ship nowhere. This dude gonna try to show me a slave ship a couple of weeks ago. It was in a lake. It wasn't in the ocean, it was in a lake. And I was like, dude, do you really think I'm that dumb? Do you really think that I'm that stupid? And this is the stuff we pass down to our children. And we're proud of it. We got we attitude. We get Africa tattooed on our arms. Are you out of your mind? We get I see brothers with Africa tattooed on their face that tell me the brainwashing ain't real. All you doing when you do it is you saying fuck your mama. That's what you doing when you have that on. Are you serious? Africans don't even get Africa tattooed on them, and you do? Is the brainwashing that deep? Yeah, it is. So the Preservation of Woods Act. Explain how. Explain that slave. See that transatlantic slave trade is not a story that's talked about in depth. In depth, it's just some old bullshit that don't make no sense, and it's skipped over. Where the ships at? What route did they take? Did they travel during hurricane season? You just had hurricanes just rip the Caribbean up. Did those slave ships come through the hurricane? Think. And this is what this introduction is for. We have to think. This is something that African American is not taught to think. What is thinking? What is thinking comprised of? It is you figuring out something that would be conducive to you living in your environment. I can't come to your house and tell you how to do things because you already have a system, a system or a way to do it. I can come share my stuff, but that's your place. And this is what we mean by here in America, you're in your place, but other people are telling you what to do, and you're doing it and happily. And will get pissed off if somebody tell you, hey, maybe we ought to be doing that. So this is how we get confused and stuff, because we believe in these stories that make no sense. Uh, here's another one. Here's another image with the people on the money. This is Montgomery, Confederate dollars, Montgomery, Alabama. Why would they bring slaves over here and put them on the money? These are questions we have to ask. See, they tell us all kind of things. Our teachers tell us all kind of things. Why? How would these cats don't look like they're uh, dressed bad, do they? Do they? They look like they putting in work because that's what they did. That's what their industry was. Their industry was to work with the earth. That's all of our industry. We don't do that anymore. And it's not cool. We don't work with the earth anymore. Just want to show you these images so we can be on the same page. This is the book called The Book of the Indians of North America. Samuel L. Drake is the author. Who is that on the front cover? I'll blow it up so you can see it. You can see it better. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? That's you. That's you. That's you. Still all kind of other names. You're all over the place. You're characters in the Bible. And the Bible that you read, King James, that's his version of the Bible. King Henry VIII had a version of his Bible. This is what we do. We take on other people's ideology and it doesn't fit what we need or have to do or why we are even here. Why are we even here? Why are indigenous people everywhere on the planet? What is our job to do? Our job is to help Earth maintain its cosmic balance in the universe. Our job is to do whatever it takes to make sure Earth doesn't run in with anything out there. We're not supposed to desecrate the land. We're not supposed to pour concrete into everything. We're not supposed to be eating plastic food. We're supposed to be breastfeeding children. Our feet are supposed to be touching the ground. We're supposed to be drinking water from the earth. And so when these things don't happen, genocide is not uh, far from around the corner because these are the things that we must do as humans on the planet. You can't take a tiger and put a tiger in a cage. Tigers have certain things that they have to do on the planet. And see, that's the African Americans. The African American, he acts like his job is to do whatever his master tells him to do. That's his job. And that's any other Negro who follows a foreign doctrine. We're playing around. We're being decimated. Imagine how many of our children have been killed since Malcolm X had been killed. Take that into consideration because we always playing around. How many of our people who have been senselessly murdered since Malcolm X had been killed? Nobody want to talk about that. That's because we playing these foreign games. And these foreigners, all those people that come over from Asia, Africa, Europe, that's all one landmass. All you have to do is look at a map. They're brothers. They all come from the same place. And they're over here to take, and I mean, I don't even think they're taking it anymore. I think we've given it away so much they can't even hold it all. That's how our attitude is about it. So this just proves to you that this is what the indigenous people look like. They weren't tramps. They made their own clothes. And the stuff that sisters wore was off the hook. Look, check that out. So these are drawings. A lot of you go look at a lot of these old libraries, a lot of these university library, Harvard, Brown. Check out some of the ones. Those Ivy League schools have some because they're the oldest. They got a lot of stuff online, but if you're up there in those areas, I would suggest that you go in and look in those libraries. Would blow your mind. There's millions of images. It can't be. I don't even see how it. People are even saying it now that they're a foreigner. I mean, if you're a foreigner, we understand that you live in a certain place and you've come over here in America to make it better for you because it wasn't happening in your. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the indigenous people who their grandfathers and grandmothers were born from this land. This is who this is for. So I know a lot of people get mad. I know a lot of people get hurt. We don't hate Africans here. Africans are going through the same problems in Africa that we're going through here. That's not the point. The point is that the people who've been calling themselves African American, that's a new term. And they didn't create that term. They were tricked into accepting that. And all you have to do is watch the movie Roots and you'll see. And find out about Alex Haley and how Alex Haley plagiarized that stuff. And this is how our lives are shaped. Other people shape our lives. And we're cool with it. I mean, seriously. The African American is walking around America like a zombie. It doesn't matter how much education you have. That has nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter how much money you got, how poor you are. How is this person? This was the person who was the um, over the land. How is it now that the African Americans is homeless? How is that possible? Because you're thinking that you're something that you're not. And seriously, we don't change this, if we don't turn this around, your kid's gonna be in an even worse position. So I would suggest that the people who call themselves African American find out who their great great grandparents were. Find out who they people were. It will surprise you. All you have to do is look. So uh here, so this one. Okay, so this is letting you know that when the people came, this is their writings. This is the Spanish. This lets you know when the Spanish came over here, who did they bring with them? Who did they bring with them? They just didn't come by themselves. They bought other people. Other people wanted to come. You got to remember when they wanted to leave Europe. They were they were fussing and fighting to get out of Europe. Why? Because those kings and the lords was taxing their ass. And they would do anything. And Columbus and brought them over here. And he brought what? Flemish, Italians, Canarians, Biscayans, Moors from Mauritania, and many African Negro nations. Now, it's very important to understand this, that the people that they bought over, they still don't figure into the population of can you imagine that? Can you imagine a Negro moving to Africa and then 10 years later his kids saying, my people moved here, you still outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1, 2,000,000 to 1. And so we're reading these stories what other people say, and we're being the person who reads the story. We're not looking at it from our point of view. This is how the African American is trained. This is how you train a dog. I'm being honest so we won't be caught into this. We read people's stories and think that we're in the story. No, your people were doing, what were your people doing during biblical days? We don't know. We don't even ask ourselves. We don't even think about it. And that's menticide. So this is who the Moors bought over. Or, Moors, I mean, the French, the Spanish, they bought French people, they bought Canarians, and they bought Moors. So he bought these people from across the water. They came over here, put their ideology, start spreading their ideology amongst us. We pick it up and run with us, turning our backs on what our grandparents left us. Are you out of your mind? And arrogant about it. Arrogant, arrogant. And won't and when the truth is found out, we find out the truth like, damn, that's what happened. When the truth finds out, we don't change. At least for our kids' sake, we still be the same clown that we've been being. You've read something in a book and didn't even read the whole book. Just read something in the book and now decide that you're those people. Really? Well, while you're being those people, who's being you? While you're being Greek, who's being you? Who's being your grandmama? While you being Greek? While you're being a Moor, who's being your great 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 grandfather? While you're being Arab, Islam, who's being your great 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 grandmama? While you being a Christian, who's being your great 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 granddaddy? So this is what we're doing, and this is what's happening to us. We're playing around, and all that. I didn't know if you and this is. They got kids. I'm serious. They got some kids out here that are off the hook because they think, they figure things out. They stop and ponder stuff. They don't like loud music. I mean, these are youth, hate loud music. And we act like it's something that you eat at every meal. So we getting on the same, I'm just showing you, I just want to show you some images. And can these images be seen? Okay, just if you're listening to this broadcast, I'm showing some images just to show that the indigenous people in here in America are the people that you call Negro, are the people that you call Black, are the people that you call African American. That's all I'm doing. If you can't see these images, like I say, hit me up on Facebook, hit me in an instant message, and I'll send you all the pictures. I mean, this we have to know this. Can't be walking around here like we are just a marginal people while foreigners come over here and pimp us like hoes. And y'all know I ain't lying. The term Native American referred to a pale European with a relatively established history in the United States of America, as opposed to recent immigrants who held a nativist point of view. Ironically, it did not refer to the actual first humans who settled the land. So the term Native American, and this is what I mean, we gotta stop that Native American thing. Native means foreign mom. The best story I can use, the best example in a story I can give is the Jesus story. It's just a story. I know it's not real, but he wasn't indigenous to Bethlehem. He was a native to Bethlehem. He was born in Bethlehem. That's all native means. It doesn't mean indigenous. So when say as you're a Native American, you're confusing the people behind you trying to learn. You're not native. Native are children born from if you're an American, and we're going to get to this image too. If you're American, this is something else it's very important to remember. Remember, you're under the British-German domination. The French came, and America, they don't call it America, they call it America. What is America? What does America translate into English to? America translate into rich soul people. That's what Puerto Rico is, rich port. Costa Rica is rich coast. America is rich soul people. They're talking about you, soul people, soul brother number one, and all that. They're referring to you. People all over the world refer to you as this. Soul people. It's people who have soul. They're talking about you. Who are those people? the people that they call African American. That's all. I mean, this stuff is right in our face. It's right in our face. I'm gonna get to that again. If you're not seeing these pictures, matter of fact, let me let me let me um, okay, do it like that. Okay, okay, okay. I wasn't showing this one, but this was something that somebody sent. I just want to show some of these images so we can all be on the same page. Okay, these are the guys who they're the fathers of African history. So the story. So when I first heard the story, the out of Africa story, well, not the out of Africa story. When I first heard the story, uh, when the Africans started coming in, when I first seen it, when I was first introduced to it, it was on a movie called Raisin in the Sun, the Sidney Poitier movie. You probably can watch it online for free. Raisin in the Sun. Sidney Poitier's sister was messing with an African dude. That's when it was first introduced to me. Now it could have been introduced earlier, but on TV in the mainstream, that was it was introduced to me. And these are the people who created the out of Africa theory. These are the people who trained John Henry Clark. These are the people who trained Dr. Ben. These are the people that they learned from to teach you that you're African. Meet the fathers of African history, the anthropologists who created the fields of African American studies and African studies in today's universities and institutions. They were the teachers of W.E.B. Du Bois, Zora Neale Hurston, among many others. Not only does Black Americans out of African motherland concept come from a white eugenist, Charles Darwin, but Black American historical connection to the landmass known as Africa is based on two Jews for the sole purpose of suppressing records of Black Americans' origins and indigenous history in America with academic institutions created by white supremacists. That's like saying giving Trump the keys to make up the education for your children. These are the people who created the out of Africa theory. It's a theory, y'all. It's not real. It's a theory. It's a theory. This is Franz Boas and Marvel Herkovitz. These are the people. This is who we learn from. I just wanted to show this. I just wanted to show this picture. One of the things that the people in the group do, and I give a big shout out to the people in the group who share. They go and they'll find, and I think it's a marvelous idea. They'll go find old pictures of indigenous people and put them up against people who are in the, contemporary people today. Like this is Frances Cress Welsing, and somebody found an American Indian woman. Not saying that they're twins, but you can see the resemblance. And I'm gonna show a couple of more on here, but this is what's done. This is you. So do this with Africa. Go find an African picture and put your picture of somebody you know, your mother, your friend's mother or something, and put that picture up against somebody you know and see how that works out. This is how you used to live. This is how you used to live. This is when they came over here. This is what they described. This is you. But you're not that. You're not that. You're a Hebrew Israelite. So when you turn your back on what produced you, what do you think will happen? Everything you see happening now. See, we got to deal with reality of what's going on and what our purpose is. Why are we here? We can't play around with this. It ain't me. I'm just sharing. You can take it or leave it. I'm seriously, you take it or leave it. All I'm telling you is to ask your grandmama who her grandmama was. Because one thing that grandmamas don't do, that your mama will do, your father will do, is lie to you. Grandmama's not going to do that. Why won't grandmama do that? Because grandmama has been through it. She's experienced life, and she doesn't want anybody else to go through that, especially her grandkids. So ask your grandmothers. The grandmothers know. The grandmothers know. So these are the images that connect you to the land of America. Um, this right here, this is a map, and they're just showing the at this time the term African American wasn't used, the term black wasn't used, the term Negro was not used. At this time, they used the term colored. These are the colored populations, and if you can see, it's they haven't even got. I don't know when this map was created. Uh, it looks could be, I don't know, mid 1800s. I don't know, but like I said, just um, write me if you can see these. If you can't see these, just go ahead and email me, and I'll send you the images. But this is a map of the southeastern corridor, all indigenous people. Still like that today, but we like to look at ourselves as minorities. When we look at ourselves as minorities, other people look at us as minorities too. We're not minorities. You're the majority of people here in America. Where else do you go on the planet and the indigenous people don't predominate? You're the minority because you want to be in so many different groups. You're broken down into how many other different foreign ideologies do we carry? 10 off the top of the head. So when we break ourselves down as a group of people, we're weaker. And everybody's going through the same bullshit. So this is the color population through the southeastern corridor. This is you. I'm just giving you some just giving you some so we'll be on the same page. Because as we go forward, because this is just an introduction. This is an introduction to where we're going to be going now next, because everything now what you're going to be doing, you're going to be focusing on yourself. This isn't about me. This isn't about some sky daddy. This is about you. What are you? If you ever heard of that story of Henrietta Lacks, I'm sure many of you heard of it. Henrietta Lacks, she was a sister who was born in North Carolina, tobacco farmer, and they're still using her cells today to keep the planet moving. That's what she was is what you are. That's why they take the women's cord blood in the hospital. That's why they take their placenta. This is why 500,000 of us come up missing every year. You're eaten. You're used as dinner. You're used as other people's dinner. And we're happily with it. I can show you some videos where we're cool. We're cool with having people do gags with nooses around our neck. The recent paper in this journal by Buxton Trevor and Julian implies that an undeformed Negro physical type inhabited the Virgin Islands in pre-Columbus times. This is Man, a Monthly Record of Anthropological Science, 1939. So what is it telling you? His people, his brothers lived in the Virgin Island. Yeah, those islands, we travel to and from them. Jamaica, South America, you can walk to South America from North America. It's a huge trading block. We turn our backs on that. We don't teach our children that this is the land that your people once roamed. We don't teach our children that. We skip over all that to go land in some foreign place. And those same foreigners come over here and dog us out. And we're cool with it. We're cool with it. And I know a lot of you people will be upset with what I'm saying, but don't be. Look at it for what it is, and just make sure it doesn't happen no more. Make a film where you make $1 billion, and the people that made the film made $1 billion. Do that. Do what Oscar Michaud did. These are the things that we have to be doing. So this is more proof. So we just want to give you facts so you'll understand what's happening where you are. This is a brother called Bobby Wright. I would suggest that everybody write this brother's name down. Bobby Wright. He came up with the concept of menticide. An awesome concept. Menticide. Killing the mind with the intent of killing the people. And I first heard about it in 1980. It's more relevant today. He's right. We're killing ourselves faster with abortions, with us keep getting into this military, with us keep, this while we kill each other on the streets. That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even believe that. I mean, really? You see that you getting dogged out by everybody else and you gonna join them to kill your own people? You have an ass whooping coming. Seriously. What goes around comes around. I mean, certain realities that we have to keep in mind. We just forget them. We just act like we can just walk over certain ideologies and certain realities like they don't matter. They do matter. They do matter. You can't kill off. You can't kill off. You can't kill off. You can't kill off. Excuse me. You can't kill off what nature produced. We do it. We do it because foreigners do it, and they allow us to do it. But that's not what we're supposed to be doing. Bobby Wright, check him out, Dr. Bobby Wright, University of Chicago. So we're gonna go through these because it's a lot of them, and I just want to get everybody's. You know, these are a group called Pamunkey Indians up in, I think they're up in Virginia somewhere. I think the singer Chris Brown says that he comes from those people. Look at those people. They look like they can. Chris Brown looks like he can come from them. Look at them. He looks just like them. If you put him in that picture, you would not say he was not related to them. These are people you see every day. These are sisters you see every day. These brothers you see every day. But you call them Africans. You call them Moors. You call them Hebrew Israelites. You call them all. You're killing the people on this land when you do that. This is another picture. I don't see. I like when we get pictures like this because you can guess where they're from, and I would simply say, from my everything I picked up and learned. So if you see a picture of somebody and it says, I don't know, it says Mississippian. In reality, that person can be from somewhere up in North Dakota somewhere. That person can be from Iowa somewhere. People just get images and, put whatever they want to put on it. Or they get images and the first Indian they see. What person who grows locks? What is one of the questions they get? Everybody asks them, "Are you Jamaican?" No, no. So if you look at the image picture, what do you see? You see people dressed in that uh, festive clothes like they wear in New Orleans. You have a river. You have that's a river in the background. Is it the Mississippi River? I don't know, but these are the images of the indigenous people of America, and these are your people. But for some reason, we don't like to claim them. I don't know. I don't know why. Here's another non-discernible. This is what the people. This is many of these images that I'm sharing with you. These are what are shared with me. The youth share with me, and I'm just sharing with you. This is what the youth, and when I say youth, these are what the 16 and 17-year-olds are getting. There were millions of people living in the West that were not African, but were reclassified as Africans, and because of that reclassification, they had become non-descendable. If your skin was dark, then it was believed that you were from Africa, and therefore your indigenous nationality was stripped from you. That sound about right? That sounds about right when we always tell people, you is an African. You telling me you are African, you telling me I'm an African, but you don't know who you are. Like in that movie, Boys in the Hood, the little boy in the class. You are African, blah, blah, blah. Don't know what he's talking about. Nobody. You can find me somebody who said that their parents came over here on a ship from Africa. You can't do it. It's a story that was told, and so in trying to be cool, we went ahead and tried to take on that story and be those people in that story. Now, this is a cold picture right here. Everybody pull this picture up of the reconciliation between Britannia and her daughter America. Who was that America? Any sister you see in the street. If you walk to the store right now, if you walked to the stoplight right now, you will see a sister that looked like that. She would be called what, a negroid. If your mama don't look like that or close to it, then you are a foreigner. And then also, if you can take the definition of when they first started, writing words and making dictionaries, what's the definition of America? They're talking about you right there in the definition. But you turn your back on it. You don't want to know that. You are African. And you throw your children's inheritance down the drain. That's what's been happening for the longest in America. We don't want to talk about that. I mean, we don't want to talk about that. I met some sisters who was in that Greek stuff. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. You're Greek, you have Greek images burned into your skin. That makes you forget who you are. And while you're being Greek, other people coming over here. So your grandmother and grandfather, you don't care about them. You don't go search for them. You don't look what they did. You don't look in the pictures and see what they did. What kind of work did they do? And other people just come over and take over your stuff because you don't care. I know people now that people's from Mississippi. Mississippi's a beautiful place. I know people from Mississippi that say, I ain't never going back to Mississippi. It's like you scare them off the land. So the people that scared you off the land told you that you came over here on a ship and you believe it. And you cut somebody else out if they don't believe it. This is where the African American is. This is where the African American is today. So we just catching up. So these are some older brothers. It could be any one of our grandfathers. You've seen them. All these images I'm showing them, you've seen them before. You've seen these people before in and around your life. And we don't even claim, we don't even say there are people. More. You you must understand that the people that didn't dress like we dressed in, they didn't wear what the people wore. They wore their own thing. So they're not gonna look exactly like LeBron James. They're not gonna look exactly like Kobe Bryant or some of these actresses because they lived a different lifestyle. They lived in the climate was different back then. There were more trees back then. They lived a different way. These are some of the things that we have to take into consideration when we're looking at stuff. We just can't look at stuff and say, "Oh, he's black." You've never seen a black person. Nobody in this world has ever seen a black person. If you did, you would remember it for the rest of your life, and you would tell everybody. You have never seen nobody the color black. The color black means the person who's using that word is Xing himself out of existence. I'll say that again. The person who is using that word is Xing themselves is like covering up their mouth on existence. You're not black. You're not redacted out of a document. You're not redacted out of life. These are terms that were given to you by other people. These are not terms that you called yourself. These are the things we have to remember. This is why we're giving this. This is why we're sharing this information. What we're saying, if we're lying, tell us. More pictures. These are brothers. These are brothers. How aren't these? Huh? They're not Native Americans. See, this is where we get it confused. These are not Native American. These are not foreigners. These are brothers who lived here. See, these are the things we got to know. Who is this? What's this? So it's like what they do when they come over. They're making a map of it. Why are you the people in the map? I mean, you can look at these images. You can look at these pictures and tell because you've seen the people. The people here look like all Asian. If you saw a picture, a cartoon drawing of an Asian person, you would know that when you go into China, as you go into Beijing, China, th- all the people are going to look like the picture that's been drawn of them. It's not saying that that's the exact person. They just look alike. Same with over here. The same with you over here. There's images of rappers and all kind of stuff looking just like pictures from 200 years ago. Same people. This is information that we cannot afford to pass to our children. We have to pass this stuff on our children because they think they are nothing. They think they are nothing because we have given them nothing to cling on to. We run into other countries, we run into other ideologies that they didn't create, that they can't find themselves in history, and we give it to them, and we just say, "Here, throw it like a dog. Here, take it," and that's not how it's done. Again, this is what they found when they came over here. This is how you was living. This is what it looked like how you was living at the time. Remember, from Florida all the way up to Canada on the eastern seaboard, a squirrel could travel from Florida to Canada without ever touching the ground. That's how the forest, the canopy that was over this part, it was a rainforest. You weren't breathing oxygen, you were breathing liquid oxygen. That's what kept your skin smooth. That's what kept your hair long. You were living with the environment. You weren't sitting under fluorescent lights. You wasn't having a cathode ray tube shot at you 8 hours a day. You ate what the earth put forth. You figured it out, or the women figured it out. But we turn our back on all of this because we want to be a foreigner. I mean, it's when you really think about it and when you really look at what the African American are doing is really disgusting. This is just an image. One of the things that I would think the people who are into construction that we can start building homes, building different places to live, because in a city like Los Angeles, they got about 100,000 people who are homeless. And why are the people being homeless? Because the social order that we live in is they have to get rid of people. So we have to know how to build and fend for ourselves and live for ourselves and be viable people. And one of the ways, the way that you see houses built in the cities and stuff now, they don't have to be like that. You can build houses that would be compatible to the environment which you are in. You know that you can build houses that are using solar, using wind, using all different kind of building ways to build. And I think this is one of the things that we should be on the forefront of right now. I mean, the brothers who do the construction, these cats who are just getting out of jail, that can be your workforce. Because brothers gonna have to start doing something. And so we need to start making places for us where we can live that are sustainable, where we can live. Because living in these apartments in these cities is not gonna work. So like I said, just write to me and I can send you, you know, the images so you can look at them yourself. So this is what I mean about brothers are going back finding old images of indigenous people, and they're putting it with contemporary faces that we see today. You see that, don't you? You see that. You see that. These brothers over here don't look Africans. And again, because I know how we are, we don't have a beef with Africans at all. We realize that that's one of the reasons you're over here, because you were being kicked off your land. You couldn't make it on your land, so you over here. That's cool. But please don't open your mouth on this matter because it doesn't concern you. Because we have a lot of Africans come in trying to say what they don't like about Americans, Black Americans, and it's like, but you ran from home. See, these people aren't running from home. So this isn't about you, how you are. This is about, well, the people who live on this land. What are we supposed to be doing? And we definitely damn sure not to supposed to be trying to be other people. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Here's another image. Uh, Ojibwe tribe. That's what it said, but that may be not what it is. So you can take this picture and or image, and you can find out what it is. But those brothers and sisters doing what they do today, the body languages, the way the bodies are built, we're built different than other people. We're not built like Korean women. Korean women and indigenous women here, they're not built the same way. Brothers from here are not built the same way as brothers from Samoa. It's just a different makeup, different human, different species. It's okay. You need all species to survive, but us calling ourselves foreigners are making it easier for the foreigners to come over and take what's yours. And see all that dancing and stuff. I don't find it. I don't find it interesting. Okay, so this is Fords, Virginia, at the Dagger upon Bread Street near Queen Hith, London. And they're showing you the brothers who are the farmers who are growing that tobacco and whatever they did. The brothers are looking, the brothers are working. Those are the indigenous people. So these are the old newspaper findings that you have. You got to go find those because you got to remember at this time, it's not that our people couldn't read, but our people spoke their own language. Our people spoke their tongues. So what they show you in everything, advertisements, because they came over here and they was like, damn, they grow tobacco like this. And we know how everybody is stuck on tobacco. That's your industry. But when you say you ain't, you turn your back on it when you say you African and arrogant. I mean, so what? I can do whatever I want to do. That's how we are with this. So it's important to remember little images like this and pictures like this, because it gives you clues. And if you find old images of your great great grandmother, if you can find old images, look in those images and see what are some of the props that are around her, because that'll give you an idea of what she did. Okay, what about these sisters here? Dude, look how long their locks are. They don't have fake hair in their hair. That's their hair. How did they go from that to foreign women can come over here and trick our women to buy that fake stuff, and they put that stuff in their hair. When they put that stuff in their hair, it cuts them off from the rest of us. You get what I'm saying? So you're a human on the planet, and you're walking around, and you pick up things. You can smell stuff, you can see stuff, you can feel stuff. Your hair is one of the things on your body that helps you tune into things. Everybody knows that. When we get our hair cut, when we uh, when we wear these wigs, it cuts us off totally from that. And check out our attitude about it. We don't care. We have an attitude like it doesn't care, and that makes it worse, because we're not even trying to be right about it. We are making other nations millions of dollars because we can't stand ourselves. And see, these are the questions we have to start asking. Okay, so this is a picture. Who are those two little boys down right there to the left? Who are they? How are we? This is the emblem of America. I could think they got the first one or two presidents drawn, but they got two little indigenous boys right there talking to the woman. Who was that? Who were they? They got froze too. Look like Michael Jackson when he was, the real Michael Jackson. How come these images aren't shown to us in school? Because it's to make you think that this is not your home. You're homeless. To many, this fact of old black nations in America will be new, yet is it an important feature in American history. I will here merely enumerate the black tribes of which I have found evident traces and remains in North and South America. The Auroras and Chororas of Chumana were black, but with fine features and long hair. So, so this is how we do our research. So all we have to do is go put in the Chororas and Cororas like that. Like I say, if you don't have this, just let me know and I'll send it to you. Who are those people? Who are those people? Because they're naming people here that you named, you even heard about. Uh, they're the American Negroes of Caranqua in Chaco, the Yamasees, the Carcajoles of Haiti. See, these are what other people are calling you. But this man right here is letting you know they all are brown Negroes with thick curly hair. Who are they talking about? They're talking about you. And we extract ourselves from that and say that that's not us. We're from some other people in the desert over in the Middle East somewhere. That's what we claim. So all the information is there. The information is there. Here's another. This is a map of Florida. Uh, let me blow it up a little bit. Can I? No. But this is off the coast. This is a map of Florida. Look at the people they have on Florida, the indigenous people they have on Florida. Like I say, I can send these images to you. But they're showing you Florida and all the islands down here. This is probably a turn of the century, 1900, going into 1899 into 1900. It looks like that type of thing. Florida is all over to the Gulf of Mexico inland. Florida is stretching all the way over to Texas. Florida is stretching all the way over to Texas. This is what this map is. And the people who they have as the people of that land are the indigenous people. It's you. And this is the thing. The way they drew the people, the color of these people. That's the tripped out part about it. The color of these people are the same color of the people you see now. They look the same. Look at this picture. This is another one. Cotton is your industry. Cotton is your industry. I'll say that one more time because that's an industry we should be in now. All these people we got locked up in jail, all these kids we ain't got doing nothing, and we can't produce cotton, and we are the originators of it over here. We can't. How come we don't have? How come we don't make cigarettes? Really? And we have just letting all our industries get and take over, and we don't care. I'm telling you what the average African American, what they think about their great grandmama. They don't even think about it. They don't even think about what she did, what she had. What she had is what people are exploiting today and selling back to you. So we got a few more. This is I normally don't get share this, but this is something that I had to share. This is from Confucius, and it's just something I want to share. If your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. And seriously, the education that our children are getting in these public schools, come on, y'all. I don't even want to talk about it because it's the same education that you and I got that we try to pretend that they're getting some good. This is another image that brothers are showing they showing today's in the Indian. So they're showing you the old antiquity, the images of what these people drew when they got here, and they're showing you what the people look like today. They be looking like Donald Trump. The people that they call Indians today that run all these casinos, that's your money. You just don't accept it because you think you're somebody else or something else. So this is how they do it. And make no mistakes, many of us we're in this. We do it. We like to pump it. I know brothers that to right now, they know they're not Africans. They will tell you that their mothers are Indians, but they still pushing the African stuff down our throat. And you, the listening public, will support them. You will buy them a ticket to Egypt. You will. Don't come on now. Come on. Okay, this is another cat who was the Boston Society of Natural History. This guy, his name is up there. I can't read it. Samuel George Morton, medical doctor, an inquiry into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal race of America. Boston Society of Natural History, April 27th, 1842. Check out what this cat has to say. It is my chiefly intention to produce a few of the more strikingly characteristic traits of these people to sustain the position that all the American nation, excepting the Eskimo, are one race, and that this race in particular, and that this race is peculiar and distinct from all others. All possess alike the long, lank black hair, the brown and cinnamon colored skin, the heavy brown, dull and sleepy eye, the full and compressed lips, and the salient but dilated nose. These traits, moreover, are equally common to the savage and civilized nation, whether they inhabit the margins of rivers and feed on fish, or roll the floors and subsist on spoils of chase. Now remember, he's describing the environment also. So that's another thing you want to pick up when you're reading stuff like this. How did these people live? What did they do? They didn't have McDonald's back then. They didn't have microwave ovens back then. How did these people subsist and live? Uh, It cannot be questioned that physical diversities do occur, equally singular and inexplicable, as seen in different shades of color, varying from a fair tint to a complexion almost black, and this too under circumstances in which climate can have little or no influence. So also in influence to stature. The differences are remarkable in entire tribes, which moreover are geographically proximate to each other. These facts, however, are more exceptions to a general rule and do not alter the peculiar physiognomy of the Indian, which is as undeviatingly characteristic as that of the Negro. For wherever we see him in the athletic cherub or the stunted shaman, in the dark California or the fair Baroan, he is an Indian still and cannot be mistaken for being of any other race. This is what people are saying about you. This is what people are saying about you, but you don't even. They're your lawsuit right there. But you can't get five people together to say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do," because we are so. I don't know what it is now because we're like really at the end of our rope, and what we've been thinking and what we've been doing the past 100 years is not working. So we're going to have to come up with another game plan, and this isn't the game plan where your children have their hands up in the air because we're not teaching them nothing. We're not teaching them nothing. If you're sending your kids to college today, you ought to be ashamed of yourself because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help them. I mean, just look at we've been going to college what since 19. I mean, I know before that, but let's take 100 years, and what has it produced for us? See, that's something that we won't want to talk about. That's something that we won't want to talk about. All that did is give us jobs to help them keep their businesses going. That's all we do is go work for them. So we can't pass that type of ideology down to our children. And so this is the last but not least image. This is a picture of a house. This is called this is Earthship. I mean, like I said, I would suggest that, I mean, these houses are built into the earth. And this is something that we're going to have to get into and understand. Get closer to the earth and use the earth's natural resources to start looking out for ourselves, because that's the only thing that's going to save us, really. Because if you look at the, what's those stones in eastern Georgia? Those stones that's built like the Stonehenge, those Georgia Guidestones. If you just simply look at that, it'll tell you what they have in store for you, for all of us. So this isn't this really isn't a joke, and I'm not really here to, play around and all this stuff, try to make people feel bad. That's not the intention at all. The intention is for us to understand what we are and what we are supposed to be doing. And so I just want to give you an introduction tonight on that simple introduction, just to show you that, boom, this is your home. This is your home. And we are supposed to be doing something contrary to what we're doing now. So we're going to be back later on in the week. I'm going to get this, how to broadcast from this down. I'll get it down, get it better. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us, and check us out in the chat room. African Americans ain't African. All right. We appreciate your appreciate your support.